Okay, Doc. Hasta la vista.
Groucho, I want you to meet Miss Beverly Adlin now.
Mr. Marx, if you don't mind.
All right. Mr. Marx, I want you to meet Miss Beverly Adlin now.
Mr. Groucho Marx.
Mr. Groucho Marx, I want you to meet Miss Beverly...
Just call me Groucho. We know each other.
Grau, I want you to meet Miss Beverly Adlin.
Wow.
Meet Groucho Marx.
Wowie. I'm sure you'll forgive me if I speak first to your beautiful partner here.
Sorry.
Bev, are you married?
No.
You're not. Why not?
Oh, I'm a teenager and I go to high school.
Oh, well, that's strange. When I was a teenager, I didn't look a thing like you. Are you a local product?
Yes, I was born in the middle of Los Angeles at the Wilshire Hospital.
Oh. Well, you're a very good advertisement for Southern California or even Oregon. Beverly, do you have a steady boyfriend?
Well, I've gone steady with several boys.
You go with 7 boys at
No,
the same
several.
time? Several boys?
At different times.
Oh, at different... You mean
Yes.
different times of the day?
No, well, sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean,
You must be pretty busy. Well, tell us about one of them, anyhow.
well, there was one, this was kind of interesting. He was in the Philippines, Philippine
Oh.
Islands.
And you were going steady with him, and he's 7,000 miles away?
Yes, but he told me to date other fellas, so I did.
Suppose he asked you not to go out with other fellas. What would you have done?
Well, I guess I wouldn't have, but he was 7,000 miles away and I was here, and I don't think he would have found out anyhow.
John, I've read about you for years, and I've known about you for years, and I've always wanted to meet you now. How many home runs did you hit last year?
Well, Groucho, I'm not a ball player.
How do you know you're not? Have you ever tried?
Yes, I have, and didn't do so well.
Well, keep practicing. You'll get the hang of it. Now, how did you get interested in singing, Charlie? You don't mind if I get familiar and call you Charlie. Huh?
Quite all right.
I may be calling you Jock before we're through with these,
Okay.
you know. On the road to Mandalay, where the flying fishes play. How is it? What do you think of it?
I think, well, now, Groucho...
Now, you can speak freely. Of course, it'll influence the quiz, but go right ahead anyway.
Well, I think perhaps there's enough gravel in there to pave Mulholland Drive.
It's paved.
Yes. She says it's paved. She's been up there.
I've decided to play 18 holes every day, and perhaps now and then maybe more. For until I'm too old or so tired that I fold, I'll try to improve on my score. If I figured the cost of the balls I had lost and equipment I bought at the shop, it would probably come to a sizable sum. But now it's too late. I can't stop. Oh, the golf bug has bitten me good. I'm in love with a putter and iron and the wood. Such waste of time is a crime and a shame. But golf is a crazy, wonderful game.
Road to Mandalay. Well, Beverly, how do you feel about classical music, the kind Mr. Thomas sings, like Golfer's Lament?
Well, it's very nice, but I like songs like Teddy Bear and Honeycomb and All Shook Up.
All Shook Up is one of your favorites, eh? I have that record. As a matter of fact, I have all of Beethoven's works. Now, John Charles, how do you feel about rock and roll music? Is All Shook Up one of your favorites?
I'm afraid I don't know that song.
Well, Beverly, could you give us a few bars and show Mr. Thomas how it goes? Could you sing it?
Oh,
What?
well, that's the mind.
You want
soul,
music
well,
with it?
I don't think he knows it.
He doesn't know much of anything. You know All Shook Up? Sure. Yeah, what key would you sing it in?
C or G? What's it written in?
Sing it in C and G.
Okay. Bless my soul, what's wrong with me? I'm itching like a man on a fuzzy tree. My friends say I'm acting queer as a bug. I'm in love. I'm all shook up. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, well, my
Well, what'd you think of it, John?
Groucho, I'm afraid she's disarmed me. I don't know, but I still think I prefer music.
Classical.
Good music.
Well, would you mind clarifying that, John? You don't obviously you don't regard this as music. You regard the girl as music, but not the thing she was singing.
I don't know. I think that I like the old melodies of Beethoven and Brahms and Schubert and...
What about On the Road to Mandalay?
Very good, Ole.
On the road to Mandalay.
And some of our great composers in this country, Irving Berlin, John Alden, Carpenter, Kern,
Rogers,
Malott.
Well, how do you feel about this, Beverly?
Well,
Do you like classical music?
It's okay, but you can't jitterbug to Mozart.
Well, I'm glad of that.
And all the teenagers like it.
Yes, I know teenagers like it, but they also like watermelon, and if you eat too much of that, you can get a tummy ache.
Yes, and also those seeds get in your teeth. Now, John, I think in fairness to both sides, you'd better tell us what is the actual difference between so-called good music and popular music.
Well, all good music, Groucho, is popular and has been popular for many years. I think the difference is that really good music has character, has solidarity, and has the great essence that is absolutely important. It has truth, which is lasting.
But you still can't jitterbug to it.
I think everything has its place, but this present-day jitterbug music seems to me to not have been written even in Tin Pan Alley. From the odor of it, I think most of it comes from the Chicago stockyards.
Oh. Well, I'm not going to take sides in this controversy. I respect your opinion, Mr. Thomas, but on the other hand, I have an 11-year-old daughter at home. And, John, you presented a very convincing case here, but I think you'll find there are many people who don't agree with you. How about you people out front? All those who don't agree with Mr. Thomas, stand up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, there's a very conspicuous one right here with a red hat. Would you mind stepping up here? Would you mind coming out? Take your hat off and come up here, huh? No, take your shoes off if you're going to do jitterbug, huh? John, you better run for your life. The audience is striking back. Now, Beverly, would you mind letting this lady use your microphone? Apparently, she's on your side of this battle. You can stand over there if you like, or... who are you? This is Mr. Thomas, and your name is?
Roberta Renee, and I'm mad.
Roberta Renee, and you're mad? Is that
Yes.
your full name?
Yes, it is.
What is your reason for sticking up for rock and roll? You're not a teenager.
That doesn't make any difference whether I'm a teenager or not, Groucho. I think the world is changing. It has changed. It's going at a pretty fast pace. We've got to have the kind of music to go along with the trend we're living in. And all this malarkey and jazz that they are putting out about bop, unspeakable jazz, unspeakable rock and roll, lewd, vulgar, what's it going to do? Reckon the teenagers? That's absolutely malarkey. It is not so because we have got to have it.
In other words, you don't like... Well, do you buy rock and roll records?
Are you speaking to me?
Yes.
I most certainly do.
You do, huh?
By the tons of them.
Well, whose records do you buy?
Elvis Presley.
Well, why do you pick Mr. Presley's records as opposed to Tommy Sands or Perry Como or Eddie Fisher or some of the other singers?
Because Elvis has the know-how and the gimmick to put this stuff over the way it ought to be done. He is a great outlet and a release for every growing teenager today. I see nothing wrong with his music, and I think it's great. And I like him so well that I belong to an Elvis Presley fan club in San Diego, California.
You can't be a member of the Elvis Presley Club. Where is your sideburns?
Never mind, I'll carry them.
What's on your mind? How do you feel about this discussion that's taking place?
Well, I didn't come out here getting this. All I wanted to say that I'm sure that you have a lot of arguments, but we're running out of time here. And...
We are?
Well, Roberta, could you come back next week to discuss this further?
I most certainly will be here with bells on, Groucho.
Well, don't
and
go
all
any
of my
bells.
rock and roll with me.
Oh, you're going to bring your records with you?
I certainly am.
Now, Mr. Thomas, how about you? I know it's a long trip back to the banana country up in Victorville, but could you come back next week?
Groucho, I'd crawl on my hands and knees all the way from Apple Valley over broken bottles to be here to defend good music.
Well, here it is, folks. Will John Charles Thomas wind up wearing sideburns and playing a hot guitar? Will this lady clobber America's beloved baritone with a Presley record? Roberta, would you like to take a chair off stage there and get together with Fenneman after the show about being on here next week?
I'd be delighted to.
All right, fine. George, will you escort Mrs. Presley off stage? Okay, and be sure you...
Very interesting remarks about rock and roll music last week on our show, and Miss Roberta Renee, who was in our audience and took exception to this, and you invited them back again to continue the fight. Well, they're here now, so folks, come in, please, and see Groucho again right now.
Welcome to You Bet Your Life. We have a different secret word. Welcome to You Bet Your Life. We have a different secret word than we had when you were here last. And if you say it, you'll divide an extra $100. It's a common word, something you'll find around the house. John Charles Thomas, we found out about your history last week, so let's find out something about Miss Renee. Is that the way you pronounce it?
Yes, Groucho.
Renee's background. Should I call you Roberta or Miss Renee or what?
They just call me Renee, Groucho.
Renee Groucho. Well, that's a very nice name. Do you have a job, Renee?
Yes, Groucho.
What do you do?
I'm a musician. I play the piano at George Radovich's Ocean Beach Bowling Center in the cocktail lounge, which is called the Arizona Room. And then sometimes...
Where is this?
In San Diego.
Well, Fenneman introduced you as Miss Renee. I assume you're single. Are you interested in matrimony?
I'm a woman.
Well, even with these cheap eyeglasses, I didn't think you were Sonny Tufts. That's besides the point. I say, are you interested in matrimony?
Indeed I am, Groucho.
That's the kind of an answer I want to hear. Now, have we overlooked anything? Do you have any other interests?
Well, you haven't mentioned Elvis Presley.
I seldom do, unless I stub my toe. What is your connection with Mr. Presley?
Groucho, I'm the president of the San Diego Elvis Presley Fan Club and the honorary president over 100 Southern California chapters of Elvis Presley fan clubs.
Well, that's quite impressive. Aren't you impressed by that, Mr. Thomas?
Very much.
Well, I'd love to join the Elvis Presley Fan Club, Renee, but I'm too busy with my other groups. You see, I happen to be Sergeant-at-Arms of the Rudy Valley Raccoon and Adenoid Club.
Disappointing. I was going to give you a membership card.
Now, does your fan club serve any useful purpose? I mean, do you ever do anything worthwhile for Elvis?
Yes, Groucho, we have several charities in his name. And, we have, San Diego Fan Club has given Elvis 2 awards. We gave him one in September of '56, a plaque. And then we gave him a gold loving cup last January on his birthday for his first film, Love Me Tender.
Do you have any souvenirs of Elvis, Renee?
Oh, I'm just loaded with them, Groucho. I can't hardly get in and out of my room. I brought a few with me.
What have you got there?
Oh, I've got some Elvis Presley teddy bear perfume, and this is the sexiest stuff. And I have a guitar pick, which I stole. And I have part of this button, which was from the MGM Pass when I visited Elvis last June.
That's a nice thing to have.
Well, it certainly is. Anything that looks like him is a nice thing to have. And I also finagled around, and I have 2 locks of his hair.
You have locks of his hair? Do you have any cream cheese to go with it?
No, but I want to tell you something else I have, too, which is my very greatest prized possession. And that is the red and white Western outfit that he wore in the picture Loving You when he sings Teddy Bear. And I wouldn't take $1 million for it. In fact, it's insured.
Now, John, last week you gave us an opinion of rock and roll that wasn't exactly flattering. Do you still feel the same way about it?
I've been thinking it over, Groucho. I like it even less.
Well, give us your side of the story. What's good about rock and roll music?
Well, Groucho, the way I feel about rock and roll, I think it dates clear back to very early New Orleans, Dixieland, jazz, pop, bop, right on up through rock and roll, and I certainly think that rock and roll is a combination of folk song.
There'll be a 3-minute wait here while Mr. Thomas registers disgust. Why are you so prejudiced against this kind of music, John?
Well, rock and roll is just too frothy. It has no truth in it. It has no expressive beauty. This young lady spoke a moment ago of this rock and roll and jazz music being folk music.
That's right.
I would like to take issue with that. Folk music has a very, very, very deep place in my heart. For instance, in the gloaming home on the range. Now this is folk music.
Yes, it is. Very good. Now, Renee, have you changed your mind about the relative merits of... Stop wiggling there, will you?
Well, the Wigglers Club, I got to wiggle.
Have you changed your mind about the relative merits of music?
No, I certainly haven't, Groucho, but I would like to say that I do feel that Mr. Thomas has a very beautiful voice, and he sings everything well.
Well, Renee, if you're thinking of switching your affections from Elvis to John, forget it. If John gave you even one lock of his hair, he'd be out of business. Well, we haven't settled anything by this erudite discussion, but I'm sure rock and roll is here to stay. I only wish that I wasn't.